I got a Sunday evening 10 p.m. text from Pastor Kevin that said something like, "You up?" And I was like, oh no, what in the world?
This is not normal.
What in the world does he want to talk about? What have I done?
Racking your brain. What did I do?
Hey, welcome to Walk With Me by Leading Second, hosted by Brandon and Lindsay Stewart. Each one of us needs others to walk alongside of us in life, in leadership, and in ministry, story by story, step by step. In this episode, Brandon and Lindsay talk about navigating transition well, seeking guidance in difficult seasons, and honoring God through it all. So let's take a walk.
Well, hello, Leading Second. Welcome back to Walk With Me.
Walk with me.
We're back with another episode in our experiment here. Are you enjoying this?
I am. We're on a walk.
We are actually on a walk.
Yep.
This morning. It is in the 6 a.m. hour.
Yeah. Sorry for my morning voice.
I think this is the earliest podcast I've ever recorded.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
We are in Great Falls, Montana. Lindsay joined me for a ministry weekend this weekend.
Yep.
Walking with a church here. And we got up early today to have a conversation with you. So I'm not sure where you might be today. You might be driving in your car or, listening to this in your office or whatever. But if you want, maybe put on your shoes, take a walk with us.
Yep.
I feel like we have important conversations when we get outside, clear our head. And this is, I think, our attempt to mentor and encourage you.
Walk with you in life.
Yeah. I think that's our heart. I feel God has blessed us with great mentors. I also feel like there's times where we felt like we needed to call somebody.
Yeah.
And so maybe these conversations on record could be, for you when you need to phone a friend or something like that. And let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk on the subject of transition.
It's a good one.
We're going to go right for the jugular. What is this?
Episode 3.
Episode 3, and we're going to go for it.
We're going for it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a very, I think, misunderstood topic. I think one that, quite frankly, causes a lot of problems and a lot of challenges, and I just don't think it needs to be that way.
Right.
I think it's a difficult topic, but one that I believe we can get right and God wants to honor. And so we're just going to talk about it today.
Yeah.
And I think in this episode, to give you a bit of a preview, we're going to talk about the idea that transition is going to come for all of us. Every single one of us will find ourselves in
some
transition.
sort of transition.
It might be a transition of roles on your team.
Right. Yep.
It might be a transition on or off of your team.
Yep. And then back on.
And then back on.
Or back off.
Who knows? It might be a transition to another church, another state. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah.
When it comes to the calling and leading of the Lord. And so we just believe that transition will happen to all of us, and we want to acknowledge that today. We also, I think, want to share that transition is best when we plan for it in advance. And that might sound like kind of a funny thing to say, because I don't propose that we live like we're leaving or something like that.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about...
It almost feels counterintuitive to like the heart and soul with you, till the ship goes down kind of feeling that I feel like is leading second, right?
Right. So we'll get to that at some point. And then I think we also want to acknowledge that transition is hard, but it doesn't have to be bad.
Right.
That it's going to be difficult every time. There's no way around it, but it doesn't have to be damaging. It doesn't have to be a bloodbath. It doesn't have to be inherently bad. I believe it can be good for you, for the church, for your pastor. There's a win somewhere in there. So we're going to get into all of that today. I think first thing we want to do is just share that we are currently in transition.
The throes of transition.
We're here. We've been actually in it for a while. We were just in that phase where we couldn't talk about it,
Well, and transition, sometimes it starts before it started, right?
Yep.
Like we've been in transition for 2 years, right?
Right.
This is not a quick momentary thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a couple of years ago we started feeling like there was something bubbling up in us.
Yeah.
There was some things we felt like God was asking us to do in ministry for the future of Leading Second, and we started to add up that was going to require us to base somewhere else.
Yeah.
While still maintaining all the relationships that we've stewarded, in our lives.
Yeah.
And so we've been praying about it for a while, and then last year we brought it to our pastors, and we've been on the journey ever since. So yeah, Lindsay and I, our family, we are in the process of relocating to the Dallas area.
Yeah.
Sometime early in 2026 as it goes. We don't know when. We're actually building a house.
Yep, which is fun.
Which is a whole process we've learned.
Yep.
So we're building a house. Some of our ministry team already lives in the Dallas area. Of course, a lot of our team lives around the country, but we're headed down there. We're excited.
Yeah.
Are you
I'm
enjoying this
excited.
process?
That's kind of a loaded question. Cross country moves are no joke, and I'm excited. I'm sad. I feel like transition comes with the whole range of emotions.
Right.
And I'm feeling them all right now.
Yeah, totally. Our girls are doing good. Family at large is doing good. So thanks for your support and prayer for our family. We're so excited that we ended up at a place where we could step into what we feel God has for us next, but not disconnect from where we're currently planted. So, just to share our hearts, we navigated this to a place where our pastors, Kevin and Sheila Gerald, are going to remain our pastors.
Yeah.
And they remain our covering and spiritual oversight. We will have a new local church that we attend as a family in the Dallas area, and that pastor and his family are in alignment with this plan.
Yep.
But our spiritual covering doesn't change. Our Team Church tribe doesn't change.
No.
Leading Second and Team Church are as committed as ever to building together.
Yeah.
We're just so thankful that God has really kind of created a national scope for those ministries.
Yep.
And we're just going to continue to steward that.
Yeah.
We deeply, deeply love Champion Center in Tacoma, my home nearly all my life.
When I've been there over 20 years.
It's
like half my life. Over half my life now. Yeah. It's been my home. And they've seen a lot of different iterations of me. From intern that has no idea what she's doing to whatever. I'm a little bit still like an intern who has no idea what she's doing, but
no. It's an immensely special place, and so we're grieving that change, because walking in those doors on a Sunday, middle of the week, have been the great joy of my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, at one time was really all that I wanted. And so navigating that, we're very, very excited for new scenery and even some things we feel God is asking us to do in the future. So we're saying this to you as people that are in transition, and yet I think I want to say this. I'm actually really proud of our transitions we've had. There's a lot in ministry
just a couple.
Right. There's a lot in things we don't get right. This is one area where I feel like God has really met us over the years.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we wanted to do this episode today, is just share some of those lessons learned transition has marked a few different seasons for us.
Yep.
The first transition I can really remember.
Hey, time is almost up for coaching group applications. They're closing August 20th, so if you've been thinking about it, this is your moment. Spots are filling up fast for Leading Second's 12-month coaching groups, a transformational journey built for second chair leaders. This isn't just coaching, it's a space designed for your growth, your role, and your calling. You'll walk away with real tools, deep relationships, and the kind of strategy that helps you lead with boldness and purpose. Plus, you'll have exclusive access to live leadership summits, a cohort of powerhouse leaders who will sharpen you every step of the way. You weren't meant to carry the weight alone, so step into your next season with strength. Apply today at leadingsecond.com before it's too late. Applications close August 20th.
I lived in Minnesota. That's where we met. You grew up in
Yep,
Minnesota.
that's where I grew up. Yep.
Pastor Kevin had released me to go and support and serve at a local church in the Minneapolis area. And I served on their team for a couple of years. I met you. We got married. And we had no plan on this. We had gotten married in September, and we were on our honeymoon. And we both started to feel the nudge of transition really strongly.
Yeah, I think that was one of my first times to really recognize like the severe prompting of the Holy Spirit, where it was like, you're doing this now, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, it felt urgent. It felt important.
Yeah.
As it happened, and we're just church nerds, as it happened, Team Church Conference back in the day was in the fall.
Yep.
And
so what did we do on our honeymoon? Well, we went on our honeymoon, and then we went
into Team Church Conference.
to Team Church. So our Team Church we do love Team Church, but it was not our honeymoon. It was after our honeymoon.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So we went to Team Church Conference on our honeymoon, and we flew home, and we just knew.
Yeah.
I
cried the whole plane ride home.
Yeah,
because
we just knew it wasn't about the conference. It was something bigger than that. We just knew that was our next.
Yeah.
And so we went home, and over the weeks that would follow, the 45, 60 days that would follow, we navigated transition. Now, we went to the pastor there, and we actually told him that, we told him early. We
told him,
transition coming.
Right away, pretty much.
Yeah, and
this is what we feel like God's saying to us.
We told him we'd give him a year.
Yeah.
And he received some counsel that I think was really good counsel.
Yeah.
He received some counsel and came back to us a couple days later. This is on, I want to say, a Thursday.
Yeah.
And said, actually, you can be done in 30 days. And we're going to tell the church this weekend. Now, keep in mind, no one knew.
Yeah.
Our families didn't know.
My family. Yeah.
Our friends didn't know.
Nobody knew.
No one knew.
Yep.
And we were on a 48-hour sprint to tell everybody we wanted to have hear it before church on Sunday morning. Even the church staff, we did like a pre-service meeting.
Yep.
To tell
before
the staff
service,
before service. So it was very quick. It was very sudden. But thank God for that, because
it felt so hard. That weekend felt so hard. And almost like it was like, no, this is too fast. Like, it felt too hard. But man, thank God for that, because transition is so interesting once you decide to transition.
Well, and so the reason his counsel that he received was so brilliant was over the next 30 days. I mean, we have a heart to honor the church. We wanted to honor him. All of that was intact, but the church started to move on without us.
Yeah.
We started to be looped out of things, and
which is like necessary.
And we even had a team member, a significant team member, not the pastor, pull us into their office and, to be quite honest, ream us out for what we were doing. We were accused that all we wanted to be a part of was a big church.
Yeah. She was pretty unfair, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I made accusations toward us, and I knew that they were communicating out of hurt
Right.
and such. But Lindsay and I just remember, I can picture that office still today.
Yep.
We sat in that office and we took it,
Yeah.
and we did
I
not
remember
fight back.
walking out of that office like, oh.
We did not fight back. But those 30 days, I think we really started to be very challenged to
Yeah.
stay in alignment and
Yeah.
honor. It became really difficult for us.
It's hard. It's hard to see someone move on without you,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if it's your choice.
Well, and so we were, I think, starting to get the beginnings of bad attitudes and
Yeah.
funk and all that. And I
Yeah.
called Pastor John Morgan,
Yeah.
one of the great, I think, voices on this in the world. I called him, and I expected, someone to,
We were calling like
it's so
this is
hard, it's so
hard.
bad, and I was expecting him to
Everyone's
agree.
being mean.
And he looked at, or no, it was over the phone. He
we
talked
can't
straight
say
to me.
we can't say what he said.
I can't tell you what he said because
It wasn't appropriate then. It's not appropriate now.
you'd have to know John to understand the context for this. But he said, basically, get over it.
Like, stop being stupid.
He said, stop being stupid. You did this. You chose to transition.
Yep.
They're doing what they need to do. They're moving on. And it was the slap I needed
Yeah.
to realize, okay, get your head in the game. And we were able to navigate, our last few days there in peace. And I will say, this is the miracle of the whole thing to me, is that we left on good terms.
Yeah.
We left with blessing. They did not want us to leave, but
No.
we left with blessing. And as God would have it, several years later, when I would exit Champion Center's staff and begin traveling, our next major season of transition, mind you, when I was believing God for the ability to help churches, I guess I'll just tell a really quick story. When I lost my job, and in the month that followed, we fasted and prayed
Yep.
that God would help us and basically give us a sign. We just needed to know God was in it,
Yeah.
And the fleece I had put out before the Lord was, God, if you're in this, if you are with us, I just need to know it. And so I had asked God, it was December, I had asked God that by December 31st, by the end of the year, if he would give me one church on the calendar in
to go to
January
speak.
to go and speak or
And
minister
that would
or
be kind of
coach.
like our confirmation, like that God's in it, and
I was just
he's,
asking him for one thing. If he did that, then I will just go. Otherwise, I needed to go get a job.
Right.
Was basically what was happening. And on December 31st, I got a call from a pastor who invited me to come speak 2 weeks later. And who was it?
Yep.
It was that pastor in Minnesota.
Yep.
God used that pastor and that church to actually be my first on the road
Yeah.
ministry opportunity. And I just want you to think about that, because we honored the church and a pastor in one transition. God used them in another season to propel us forward into what he had for us.
And I remember we just looked at each other when you got that text message, and we were like, I mean, first of all, like, it was like the last hour of,
Right.
a whole month of waiting for God to give us this,
Right.
this like, sign that we were doing something right. So it was like, I was so dumbfounded that it, of course, was in the very last hour, but then that it was him that he, God was using. It was just, it was so undeniable and kind of cool,
I just believe that's how God works. I think our next time of transition was that time when, which is a much more known story. I think if you've been around us, you would maybe be familiar with the story that I worked at Champion Center for a lot of years. But in 2011, was asked to leave staff.
Transition we didn't choose.
Transition we did not choose. The church was in a situation financially. My role was being cut. It wasn't performance based. I just, I was the one I was actually one of several that day that got let go. And of course, that transition led to us traveling and working with churches. I consider that to be one of the greatest miracles of my life, but it happened in transition.
Yeah.
And that one was hard. I think that one was particularly hard for you.
Well, I mean, obviously it was something that we weren't planning. We really had what we wanted.
Right.
We drove into church together. We had lunch together. We drove home together.
Yeah, we were on staff together.
We were on staff together. Like it was on staff at the church you love, doing what you love. Like, I mean, I was so happy. And so then, you know, to have transition happen at that point can be a little bit jarring as well.
Right.
Even though I feel like in all of our transitions, I have felt the hand of God and the peace of God, even in the chaos. So, you know, even though it's been like a chaotic ride, there's like this underlying peace where you just know that God is in it. And even in that moment, I mean, you know, you talk about how, you know, before we even drove out of the parking lot, like I was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing. But that was an answer from peace, you know, from the Holy Spirit that I felt.
Yeah, I remember in the days that followed that, you know, to catch everybody up, I had this conversation and, you know, was asked to be done on staff. And in the same conversation, I pitched to Pastor Kevin the idea of coaching pastors. I mean, this all happened in the matter of 30 or 60 minutes.
Right.
You know? Lindsay was waiting in the car for me with Zane. She was 4 months old at the time.
Yep.
Waiting in the car. I come out to the car and she goes, "What did Pastor want?" And I had to tell her, well, I'm not employed here anymore, and we just started a ministry. And, you know, Lindsay really did have an all-in answer, which was
I did, but I will say,
shocking to me.
well, I will say though, you know, I would say that the days that followed
they were hard.
Were the hard days, and that was where I really had to keep my attitude right. I remember the thing that, it might sound funny, but music is really what I would say, like worship music is what keeps me on track.
Yeah.
You know, it's the thing that I have to find. So I usually, when I'm going through something, I find a song and I beat the song to death, listening to it nonstop. And that was when the song Jesus at the Center came out.
Right.
Israel Houghton. But it wasn't even out yet. He had sang it at I want to say like a conference or something. And there was a clip, an 8-minute, 30-second clip on YouTube of this song. And I think we maybe had watched the conference live or something. So like, that's how we knew about it. And I gave that YouTube hit, like, I don't even know how much, because I just would constantly do that, because I needed to keep Jesus at the center of my thoughts. I needed to keep him at the center of our actions. I needed to keep his peace, you know, at the center. And so that was what I did to focus myself.
One interesting point of color on that story was in the days that followed, you know, we worked with Pastor Kevin to kind of get a plan down for how we were going to communicate this. I mean, it's all fun and games to talk about it now, but how was I going to start a coaching ministry in strength having just been let go? I mean, it was a really weird,
well, also it was
a really weird, you know, idea.
Also, it was during a really weird financial time,
right,
in general. And
so,
you know,
so I'm bringing that up to say that what we decided was that we would not immediately announce. I wasn't on staff. I'm not actually sure we've ever announced it.
I don't think so. Maybe.
I mean, to our church, there was no announcement.
No.
I was treated as if I was on the team. I really believe, if my history is correct, that was when we really started to embrace kind of a volunteer staff concept, and I was on that. But we didn't communicate it, and so the staff didn't immediately know that I was gone and you had to go to the office every day and just continue on as normal. I think
Right.
that was where it was difficult for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good piece to, yeah, because I can't go into the office crying and hysterical and
And
not that I necessarily would have, but there was definitely times where I wanted to cry because I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, here we are on this journey, this faith journey of like, what is God doing here? You know, and we just were taking the next step. We didn't have a clear path. And I was definitely not sure what was going to happen next.
Well, and I think I also wanted to join Pastor Kevin in his consideration of the staff and team. I mean, I was the one he would have get up at staff meetings and talk about being all in for the church and all in for the house. I mean, everything you would hear us say now, we said
Right.
then.
Yeah.
And we would do all that. And I was very concerned at the impact our exit would have on other staff members and team. I did not want people to deal with insecurity, you know, and so we just didn't announce it. We went the silent route, and it was very hard. It was hard to not be able to share. It was hard.
Yeah, it was hard to hold it.
You know, today it's such a trend to get on TikTok or social media and you cry, you just lost your job, and have these big hysterical things. And we just, of course, that wasn't an option then, but we just went the opposite way. We chose. Charlotte Gamble talked about this years ago at Team Church in her message on leadership pain. I got to remember my words. We chose private pain rather than public pain. You know,
Right.
we just chose to take it, and it was difficult, but we really wanted what was best for the house, and we wanted a strong start in our coaching ministry, and I think we did it. It was difficult. It was not easy, but we landed in the spot that God was able to bless. And that, you know, today we still enjoy a great relationship with Pastor Kevin and Sheila and Champion Center, and it's all because of days like those where we just considered the house.
Yep, I agree.
So that was one transition. I think another transition for us, we're just telling stories today. I hope this is okay. But probably the last memorable transition I have was in 2022, laying down my role as Team Church Director. And that was an interesting one for me because, you know, after I was let go off of the staff, you know, we identified that I was going to work with churches and whatnot. But yet, the thing I wanted to do at home was I wanted to facilitate the conference. I really wanted to see Team Church grow. It was my favorite thing. It still is one of my favorite things in the world.
We love it.
It was the great joy of my life that I was a part of a church that had a conference that hosted other leaders. It's so rare. You know, it's such a rare gift from God to be able to do that. And I just wanted to see that table set over and over and over again. And so I don't know that I was ever asked. I think I just kind of weaseled my way into it. I just kind of started adding value in that area, and it became natural because I was out working with pastors, and the whole thing kind of collided well. And over the years that would follow, I would grow into this Team Church Director role. It was a volunteer position. I was never compensated for it. But in my time, you know, we grew the conference. We began stuff on the road. We did a podcast for a season, you know, all of that. We led through the pandemic with it, you know, and it was the great joy of my life. Honestly, even over my time on staff, I think it was my favorite thing I ever did at Champion Center was the Team Church Director role. And what was interesting about that one was I believe it was in January of 2022, I got a Sunday evening 10 p.m. text from Pastor Kevin that said something like, "You up?" And I was like, oh no, what in the world?
This is not normal.
What in the world does he want to talk about? What have I done? You know?
Racking your brain. What did I do?
But we got on the call quick, and he began to share with me, just his heart, that he could tell Team Church and Leading Second were both growing and wanted to consider how we facilitate that. And I don't remember the conversation well, but...
Well, I think there's also places that he wants to take Team Church that, like, he would... That's not necessarily where you were going to take it, because
right.
your gifting, and also with Leading Second, it's just kind of like, hey, we need some shake up here.
Yep. And so we just began to talk about that, and his heart was for us to be able to facilitate what God wanted to do in us through Leading Second, while at the same time taking Team Church forward. And over the next, I don't know, what would it be, 7-8 months, until the conference, I went on to lay down what was my favorite thing, I had done.
Yeah, that was not easy.
It wasn't easy, because ownership, we want to take ownership of something, and when we do, we go all in. We own it heart and soul. And I think even to a degree, I had a lot of identity attached to it. And then over the next few months, I realized there's another side of ownership, and that is laying something down well.
Yeah.
And choosing to make sure the next person is set up for success. And we did our best to do that. And we identified together the new Team Church director, and I went through that process so that we could make that announcement and set it up, not only for the next director, but also the official formation of Team Church as an organization and all of that. And God's done such great things since 2022 at that conference.
Yep.
And we're really thankful for that. And it has been a journey, honestly. It's been a journey to lay something down and still be a part of it.
Still love it so much.
Yeah, but just being honest, it's not for everybody. To lay something down and still be a part of it, you got to be really big on the inside. And everybody has to have a commitment to be really big on the inside, because it's fraught with potholes and challenges. And
right.
I think we've gotten to a great place. I think that we're really proud of the relationship that Leading Second has with Team Church. And so I think what we wanted to share by sharing some stories is we've had transitions. They've all been unique.
Yep.
and different from each other, but they all share some common traits that we're going to try to unpack here for the next couple minutes. And I think our first major thought on transition is that transition is coming for all of us.
Yeah.
It will come.
Some of it you're going to choose, and some of it's going to choose you.
Yep.
We don't always get to choose it, but
Right.
It's coming.
Of course, there's transition that happens because of maybe, poor behavior or poor decisions, but then there's just transition that happens because of the calling of God and the leadership of the Lord over his church. And I think we have to realize this is Jesus' church, and he positions people. And at his leadership, there are times where seasons come to a close. I guess I've come to say this, I've traveled the nation, the world, telling people I've been a part of one church essentially my whole life, with the exception of a couple years.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize, though, how illogical it is to assume that would be everybody's story. That we're all just going to always be one place.
Well, I think
forever.
it's very rare. It's also it's seasons, right? So
Yes.
It wouldn't be right for us to stay because we've always been here.
That's right.
And that's I think that's something that we had to wrestle with and come to terms with, and probably still a little bit coming to terms with it, because we're not leaving angry or mad or
Right.
for reasons that we got to get out of here. There's part of me that would love to stay.
That's right.
And there's part of me that's proud of us that we've been here for so long.
It really was something we were quite proud of, and to even lay that down.
Because that's been a lot of work to stay too.
Yep.
Staying for 5 minutes, you have to deal with yourself, and so
Right.
I've been really proud of that. So I think we had to kind of reconcile that, you know.
Yep. And so transition will happen to all of us. It's, sometimes it's transitions that we can see coming, and sometimes they come upon us. I just think we have to recognize it and not be surprised when that moment might come. I think the best thought I ever heard on transition, and we're just going to share it right now, the thought that has saved our life several times now, is this thought: transition happens best when you plan for it in advance. And there's so much nuance in that statement, because I think, first of all, I believe it is our responsibility as leaders in the second chair, to live like we're staying somewhere forever.
Right.
I just think we should. I think our attitude should be one that I'm going to be here forever. This is now what I will do the rest of my life. Just
Right.
that level of commitment, that level of
Ownership.
all in, that
Yep.
level of ownership. I just think it's what's appropriate.
Yeah.
That we should never lead with one foot out the door.
Or like our eyes looking up for like what's next, even, like that's not.
Ditch the resume, delete
Yeah.
it. Like, I don't believe, I think that's where the kingdom has to distinguish itself from the world. This is not a career. This is not a paycheck. If it
not
is,
a gig. Yeah.
if it is, go find something else to do. Honestly, this is a calling. Ministry is orchestrated by the Lord. So I just believe we're supposed to live that way. Just my full disclaimer here.
Yeah.
But I also believe if we buy into the idea that transition's coming for all of us, then I think we actually do ourselves and the church a favor to set our mind in advance that if and when transition happens, this is how I'm going to behave. I've heard it said, if you prepare for the worst can't hurt you. That's the idea. Like if you have an emergency fund in your savings account, when you blow a tire or something goes, something happens, you have money to cover it. You may not want to spend the money,
Right.
but you're also, not going to go under. You prepared for the worst, so the worst can't hurt you. And the same is kind of true with transition. If you prepare for it in advance, you're more likely to get it right. You're more likely to navigate it well, because when transition comes, it gets really foggy.
Yeah.
It's like making, decisions in the fog. I've heard the phrase, I might get it a little wrong, but the phrase that pilots deal with called flying in the soup. And that is the idea that pilots often will have to fly when they have zero visibility.
Gosh.
They're flying in the fog, they're flying in the clouds.
Right.
And at that moment, they have to completely rely on their instruments, and they have to rely on the air traffic controllers, because they can't see it. And when you're in transition, you need to have some controllers. You need to have some things to look at, because you're not going to feel it. You're not going to.
Gosh, that's such a great analogy.
You're not going to maybe instinctively make the right decision. So you almost have to have a.
Those are
have
things
a plan.
if they're things that are set up ahead of time. Like all the way back in Minnesota, John was the person that we would call for anything, and our pastor knew that. Like, he knew that, like, this is who we get our counsel from. But he was like our ministry counsel, and he was the one that would know everything and know our heart, and he knew our desire, to do things right.
That's actually a worthy point. A little hack for any lead pastors who might listen to this episode. Something you could do that could really help your team would be to set up someone you trust who's neutral outside of your church that your team can talk to about transition. We actually had that happen. The pastor that we served in Minnesota, he actually said, if you feel transition coming, I think this was just the Lord, if you feel transition coming or you feel change coming, here's the person I would love for you to process that with. This person is neutral. I trust them to help you navigate it, because you need coaching and mentoring that's outside of the chain of command, right? You need a place to go or you, I'm just going to say it like this, you can't get in trouble. You need a place to go.
You have to be able to say, well, that was what saved us.
Yes.
Is that we were able to call John and be like, and kind of vomit all of our gross, complaints and feelings and all this stuff that,
Yep.
I mean, we were so young. Now that I look back, we were just young and we were immature and we were,
Yep.
this is the first thing we had ever done. Right. And thank God that we had someone to call and say
Yep.
all that stuff to, and he could look at us and be like, you need to stop being stupid.
So pastors, you may want to consider setting up that, if fire, break glass person, who's the fire extinguisher your team can call to process things with. Anyways, back to transition. I just think it's important to prepare for these things in advance. In other words, at what point in transition will you talk to your pastor? Because I promise you're not going to feel like talking to your pastor about it. If you go on your feelings are going to fail you in this. No one's going to enjoy that conversation.
No.
But, do you want to talk to him early? I would recommend early. Treat your pastor as an advocate, not an adversary in that. So who will you talk to and who won't you talk to? Who will you process with? What decisions will you make? And what decisions won't you make without the right counsel? I mean, I just think you have to get your mind around that. We also, one of the things we always did was we always set a plan for how we would communicate with people once we left. I mean, we're pretty severe on it. We really choose to limit communication after we've transitioned for a period of time. Our current one's a little different, but in our previous transitions, when we moved on from places, we really chose to limit communication there for a period of time because people need to attach to a new leader, and no one wants the old guy hanging around and lurking around and everyone staying in contact with the old guy, even though the new guy is there, So my point is we would recommend developing a plan for that in advance. I remember being in school, and I grew up in Seattle, so we had earthquake drills. I think you guys had tornado drills.
We did, yes.
We never did that.
Which are very different things that I still have no idea what to do in an earthquake.
No, you don't. You have terrible instincts in
I
earthquakes.
do,
actually.
but if we get into a tornado situation, we'll be good. Which is great for Dallas, actually.
True. So, let's just say we've been in more earthquakes than we have tornadoes.
This is very
in our
true.
marriage.
Yeah, and I just mess up every time.
You didn't have the drills.
I know.
You did, but we would do that kind of stuff in school, and then when the moment hits, you have a level of preparedness for it. So I
It's
think
like that muscle memory almost,
Right. I think our last and final point is that transition is hard, but it doesn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
I think we have to understand it's always going to have a level of difficulty to it.
Yep.
This is one of the least fun things.
Well, and you
will
get
do.
to choose your hard. Let's just say that, because
That's good.
if you do it wrong, it's going to be hard. But
If you do it wrong, you're going to sever
yeah.
what I think God wanted to keep together.
Yep. If you do it right, though, it's hard. I mean, not talking, not explaining yourself maybe is one thing that, there's a lot of people that probably have questions during a transition that don't get answers. And that's hard to reconcile.
Yeah, that's true. Our current one, we did our best to share with people ahead of announcing, what we were doing, but it's like you can't get to everybody. And we tried, and I'm sure it was imperfect as always. But that's a really good point. You have to choose your hard. I remember, he may not appreciate this. We'll see if he listens to it this long, but that was actually this was actually the season where I met Hayden on our ministries team for Leading Second.
Right.
Hayden was in transition. Hayden and Cheyenne, they felt like their time was done at their current church. And I heard about it, and I said, have Hayden call me. And we didn't know each other very well. But he called me and we talked. I heard him out, and then I gave him my rules for transition. And just spoiler alert, they're pretty extreme. They're pretty selfless. I really ask people to go the extra mile to consider.
Do you want to share? Do you want to share like any of that, or?
Well, I mean, I ask people things like we mentioned to go dark for a period of time after you transition.
Right.
Everybody wants
don't
to,
answer
like,
the questions. Don't give the tea. Don't
nothing. Like, I mean, I almost would recommend up to ghosting for a period of time. Let people move on and attach to someone new. Things like that. I truly believe you need to go a distance away for your next ministry assignment. Do not go down the street. So, there's some things like that I think there's people out there that would push back on all of that, and that's their perspective. But
like in order to honor the house.
Yeah. But I feel like that's the only way. So I gave him my rules. I think I said something like this to him. He could confirm it. But I think I said something to him like, if you do this, like if you follow these rules, then maybe you have a future in ministry. I remember where I was, by the way.
You've just been hard on Hayden from the start.
I was in Dallas, and I was at a thrift shop because that was the summer we were thrifting merch for our collection at Team Church Conference.
So cool.
We did like a thrift merch thing for Leading Second at conference that year. So we were hitting thrift stores for weeks ahead of or months really ahead of the conference. I remember I was still looking for merch or for thrift stuff, and so I told him, if you do this, you might have a future in ministry. And I said, I'll know you're serious about your future if you do it and do it well. And to their credit, they did.
Yeah.
They did it all. And when he did that, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, we actually have someone who's willing to seek first the kingdom here.
Right.
And consider the church first here, not just look out for their own interests. The Bible tells us to not look out for our own interests, but look for the interests of others. And so, anyways, back to the point of being hard. I do think that's a good point, Lindsay. We have to choose our hard in this. And your counsel in your life might ask you to do something that feels hard. It's going to be worth it. When you consider the church, and you consider Jesus, and you consider your pastor, it will go well with you. I think one of the best prayers we can pray is, Jesus, if I take care of your church, would you take care of me? I just think that's one of the best things you can pray in transition is, as I honor the church and as I honor my pastor, would you take care of me and my family? And I truly believe you can take that prayer to the bank, and believe you can pray it with confidence, knowing that's a prayer that I believe God wants to answer.
Yeah, and I think, something that like maybe I think something that's really important with transition is your heart posture when you're doing transition. And what I mean by that is, you may be leaving somewhere because of something that happened, but have you finalized, have you fixed, have you gone and had the conversation you need to have, before you leave? So, basically don't leave somewhere offended.
Yep. Yep.
And, that's not necessarily, I kind of thought that in my heart to say, like, sometimes we're leaving for good reasons, and sometimes we're leaving because it's bad, or it's, there's some reason we need to leave. But we still, even in the moments where the transition is because we have to leave, there's still probably conversations that we need to have, reconciliation that needs to happen, or at least everything, you've done everything that you can on your side to make sure that you've honored God, that you've honored the house, and that you have forgiven, or you have receive forgiveness, or whatever it is that's in that situation. Just make sure that you don't leave some of those things undone before you leave, because all that kind of stuff follows you wherever you go if you don't fix it.
I actually think the Sermon on the Mount holds a pretty strong bar for us on this one. And this was what got me recently. I was reading this last year, and this just got me right in the Sermon on the Mount, one of the greatest sermons that's ever been preached by Jesus. He says this pesky, I'm going to paraphrase, but this pesky little statement in the middle. He said, if you're on your way to bring your offering and your brother has something against you, by the way, not if you have something against your brother, the bar is even higher than that. If your brother has something against you, lay down your offering, go and be reconciled, and then come back and give your offering.
Wow.
And that is so convicting
Yeah.
to me, because it's not even just you stay free of offense. It's, is there any potential of offense around you? Is there any potential for disunity around you in the church? If so, we have a responsibility to deal with it before we give our offering.
Yeah.
And for the person that is dealing with offense, and you feel like offense is leading you to want to transition, maybe you're hurt, people don't understand, whatever, the strongest counsel I can give you is deal with the offense before you leave.
Yeah.
Lay down your offering, lay down your ministry ambition, and go be reconciled to your brother. It is in Jesus' longest recorded prayer where he prays for the church, he could pray for anything. It's the night before he died. He could pray for anything, but he prayed for unity in his house and unity in the church. And I just think we have to realize our responsibility in that, and seek unity and peace before you transition. If you transition out of anger and hurt and frustration, it will not go as well for you. I don't think we could say it. We could say it strong enough. Lay down your offering and go be reconciled, and then watch the blessing of God follow your transition. We can wrap this episode. We're coming up on an hour probably here, and I hope you're encouraged. I hope you're challenged. For someone out there that might be in transition, if you picked this episode and you made it all the way to the end, I just wonder if you needed this conversation today. I wonder if you needed this conversation like I needed that phone call from a mentor, to challenge me. If so, it was our honor to spend the 6 a.m. hour with you this morning. We're getting eaten up by bugs and mosquitoes and such, by the way.
My legs are covered in bug bites, by the way. I was like, oh, there's a lot of gnats out here. And then halfway through this thing, I was like, that is bug bites, and they're all over. It's a beautiful walk, but it is a buggy walk in Montana.
So anyways, we're out here suffering for you right now.
Woo.
Anyways, it's been our honor to walk with you in this space. I think I want to encourage you. God's ways are higher than our ways. And if you consider the church and you consider your pastor and you do things in a way that honor God's kingdom, that honor the Lord, I promise you, it might defy every conventional wisdom. It might defy everything you see someone else do. Don't let anyone else be your bar but Jesus. I promise you, if you do things his way, he will take care of you. You will find your life when you lose it. Sometimes transition feels like a death, like we're losing our life. And it's important that we recognize that. Transition brings change, and change is loss. But I believe we find our life when we lose it in the kingdom of God. And I'm just believing that as you are selfless in your posture and you are kingdom-centered in your focus, I believe that you will see the blessing of God on your transition. And how you leave one season is going to be how you enter the next. So make sure you're doing everything you can to walk into your new season with blessing, with confidence, with the favor of the Lord, and watch how God will use your great transition to preserve what you left behind and to be with you as you build something for the future.
Amen.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, man, this is just, we are doing this, if you're still listening, an hour into it. I thank you. We are doing this because this is a passion point for us. And, I think every person will go through transition, but you rarely see really good transition. And so our goal is to make more transitions better.
That's right. That's right.
And keep more people, we want people to stay in ministry, and stay, working for God and following your purpose, and not let little things take you out. And it's a big thing, but it's a whole bunch of little things that could take you out along the way. So I guess we're really passionate about this, and we want to walk with you in this. Like, if you're in transition, or if you feel it coming on and you don't know, what to do, like, we want to walk with you in that, because it's important to us.
That's right. We use the word uncommon with Leading Second because we believe uncommon leaders shouldn't be so rare, and uncommon leaders set the bar in the kingdom. So we love you, Leading Second. I pray this has encouraged you today. Hit subscribe and join us for future Walk With Me conversations. We have some guests planned to be on soon. We'll keep walking together and talking to you ourselves. But until next time, Leading Second, we love you all. God bless you.